theme for our parade this year is Heroes Past and Present. You're going to hear us talk about that throughout today's events. If you are watching us live on our channels, welcome. If you're watching us in replays, happy Thanksgiving. You're seeing Coles Hill begin to fill up as, again, crowds are just coming from every direction. It really is. We are blessed with a perfect day here as well. The sun is shining, and as we're waiting for the pilgrims to walk down and start lighting that candle to signify the kickoff of today's event, we do have some additional behind-the-scenes footage that we can show you in some of the work that led up to today's parade. Olly Macedo is the parade director for America's Hometown Thanksgiving celebration, and he had an opportunity to speak with us yesterday just before the parade about the amount of work it really takes and the volunteers that work together to make this parade happen. So we're going to let you take a look and let Olly take it away. Thank you. It's the day before the parade. Everybody is moving at 100 miles an hour. So we still in just a couple of minutes of Olly's time to be able to really talk about what goes into putting all of these events together. Olly Macedo, how are you holding up today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I mean, it's the day. It's almost here. And the excitement starts to build. At the same time, I know there's a million things that have to be done. And, of course, those million things that everyone comes and enjoys down here, we have 15 events within this one event. So there's so much for everyone to partake in here, but it takes so many volunteers to make this happen. I am so grateful because all the things that go on behind the scenes that most people don't see, they always see my face and all the other people there, but the real people that are really behind is all the volunteers unseen that help me at the float pond. They help me in the organization. They help me down here when we're setting up and cleaning up and doing all the things that it takes. It's an all year long process to come to this weekend. And I just hope, and I know that the town of Plymouth is very, very proud of this event, and I hope they are. We are honored to serve them. We are honored. All the volunteers love what they do. We enjoy what we do. And I'm just grateful because without the people, I couldn't do it. It wouldn't be what it is. It's only as great as it is because of the people that are behind it.
And it's such an amazing community event. We also, though, even though it is so owned and loved by Plymouth and everybody in this area of southeastern Massachusetts, there are people who come from all over the country to see this and people who watch it over Thanksgiving weekend from all over the country. What would you like to say to the visitors who are here, who are enjoying America's Hometown Thanksgiving celebration, and particularly the people who are going to be watching the parade?
Well, for me, obviously, the only thing I can say really from my heart is I think Thanksgiving is a wonderful holiday. For me, it's always been all my family comes together. I get to be with my brothers, my sisters, my parents, and it really is, for me, it's always been a time that, I am grateful for what I have. And I'm sure that everyone, no matter what station of life they're in, there are things that we are just grateful and thankful for that we have. And I think Thanksgiving holiday allows us that opportunity to say, you know what, I'm grateful, I'm thankful. Whether it's for my wife, because you know how much I'm grateful for my wife, but I'm grateful for my family, and I'm grateful for my volunteers for the opportunity of what we do here. And I'm also grateful, most of all for me, is this country. I hope that people that are out there watching it, whether it's here in Plymouth, whether it's in New England, whether it's across the country or across the world, that it is so great to be in America's hometown where it all began, where everything that we all espouse to and think it's great about this nation started right here on these shores. And that's us. That's America. That's why we want to celebrate it. We want to be a champion of that whole freedom, everything that it represents. So to me, I think in a nutshell, that's really what Thanksgiving means to me.
Well, thank you, Olly. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. We hope all of you are very excited because you are just about to see history stepping out of the books and onto the streets of America's hometown. Please enjoy America's Hometown Thanksgiving Parade.
Clydesdales have been to Plymouth a few other times for the parade. Budweiser Clydesdales do approximately 200 to 300 different events around the United States every year. And that includes parades like this Thanksgiving Day parade, sporting events, fairs, festivals, things like that. For a typical show day for us, it'll take us about 5 hours to get the horses ready. And that'll include grooming the horses, washing their white legs, polishing the harness, braiding their manes and tails, and then finally putting the harness on and hitching them to the wagon. A lot of people are really impressed by these guys. I mean, they're just such a big horse, and people have grown up watching them on TV and seeing them in commercials. So for a lot of people, it can be an emotional experience to finally meet him in person. And it's a very impressive sight to see an 8-horse hitch coming down a street in a town where you live. Jack here, he's pretty much a lover. He enjoys people coming up to him and scratching him and petting him. We have other horses. His teammate, for example, Greg, isn't so much of a lover, but he likes to put on a great show. He's very proud to pull the wagon. So they all kind of have their different quirks. The Dalmatian is our mascot pretty much. Back in the olden days when we actually delivered beer with horses, his job was to guard the beer inside while the drivers were making their deliveries. Clydesdales go back to the end of Prohibition in 1933, where August Bush Jr. gave the first team of Clydesdales to his father, August Bush Sr. And shortly after that, they delivered some of the first cases of Budweiser to Congress after the repeal of Prohibition. And that started the Clydesdales tradition of traveling and going to meet people and bringing them the gift of Budweiser.
The parade is just about to start, and we are actually very honored to be talking to Tom Grilk, who is the Executive Director of the Boston Athletic Association, and is one of the VIPs here for the parade today. Thank you so much for joining us.
It is a great privilege to be here. Thank you.
Now, you've been involved with the BAA since the 70s, correct?
About 35 or 6 years, yes, that's right. Mostly as a volunteer until 3 years ago when I took over at the lead role.
And the running community is such a tight-knit community, from what I understand, even though it is a passion worldwide.
It is indeed. There are connections between us and all the local races and local races all around the world. It is just that.
Well, we thank you again for being here with all of us today for the parade, and we understand you are here for the tribute that America's Hometown Thanksgiving celebration is making to all of the folks who were killed and who were injured in the bombing, as well as all of the people who rallied around and who helped that day. Could you tell us a little bit about your response to being invited here and some of the other events you've been a part of?
It is delightful to be here. It is part of the connection and support that we have felt from around the world, which has been broad, has been powerful, and has been sustaining. We have really been carried along by it. The notion we have heard of, the term Boston Strong, is really an expression of the fact that people here and everywhere will live their lives the way they choose, no matter what somebody tries to do or does to stop them, which is, I think, the same spirit that brought people here on a boat from England in 1620. The notion of Boston Strong goes back a long way and has very deep roots. And is,
as you say, a part of our history from the very beginning, and that's another thing that we celebrate today. We're celebrating heroes past and present.
Exactly, and in the shadow and the spirit of those past heroes, you have people here today like Robert Wheeler, a young man whom I met with President Obama back 3 days after the race. Robert had just finished the race, saw people who were horribly injured, took off his own running shirt and used it as a tourniquet for someone who needed help. That spirit crosses the ages.
We had an opportunity to talk to Robert yesterday, and we're going to share that with our audience as well. And the thing that really I admired so much about Robert was that his most important goal was to ensure that he was sharing positive messages of healing.
Which is what he has continued to do. And he keeps running. He's run 6 marathons this year. So Robert is a driven young man. Fortunately, it's all for good.
And that is incredible. And we're so happy to have both of you here with us. I'd like to thank you again for joining us. And we're going to share the interview with Robert with everyone. Please enjoy today's parade.
We look forward to every minute of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert, thank you so much for being willing to join us today, and also for your participation in the parade tomorrow. I'd like to start just to ask you, how is Ron, and have you been in contact with him?
Ron and his family are doing rather well. They're continuing their recovery. I've actually spoke to his family 2 days ago now. And your participation in the parade, what made you choose to participate with all of us this weekend? When I realized how much what happened in Boston affected everybody, not just those who were there, there became a need to help inspire and help with that recovery for everyone, because it comes down to that this is our city and that this is our home, and it's very close to all of us. And being able to show up and inspire people and let them know the brighter side of what happened that day, the basic fact that two people did something bad, horrendous that day, and hundreds and thousands did something amazing that day and continuing afterwards.
Is there anything that surprised you that you've learned about yourself or others in the months since? Because your life has completely changed, I would imagine.
You know what? You're still the same person at the end of the day, but you know, we continue to evolve in life and grow, especially at my age, being in my early 20s. But one thing that I find I definitely learned to be true is that people are inherently good. That's something this year has definitely taught me. Just because of the way strangers have helped out that day for those who were injured, as well as those who have been supportive to me, both friend and strangers, since.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the audience, to the folks, people are going to be watching this who are local, who are from Plymouth, America's hometown, and people across the country will be watching this parade over Thanksgiving weekend? Is there anything you would like to share with people?
Yeah, something that day that I realized is that it wasn't just Bostonians that were there, it was people from around the world, and that the marathon is a world-renowned event. There was a man from Italy who helped me tear down the barricade, just as a small example. So people from around the world were affected, and people from around the world were there to help out and showed the strengths of not only Boston, not only America, and American ideals, but also the true nature of us as people. And that's something to take to heart, that seeing how good humanity really can be. And that's really what I take from that day, not the other negative aspects that you take out of that, but that as Bostonians, as Americans, and as people, we did the right thing that day.
Well, I'd like to thank you for being willing to talk with us, and thank you for everything you did that day and everything that you are doing since then and moving forward to help all of us learn and help all of us recover. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, welcome back. The parade is arriving down at the waterfront, as I know you just heard, and I am now joined by my esteemed co-hosts, gentlemen, Representative Vinnie D. Macedo and Dr. Paul Jaley. Thank you.
Good to be here again.
It's
great.
Always a pleasure, and it's pretty exciting being down here at the waterfront and seeing all the excitement. It's amazing.
We've had a wonderful time in the studio the last few years, but being able to be actually here with everybody to see everything happening live is just fantastic. And as they told you, the folks from the Rotary Club who believe service above self, they are such a huge support to our community and every community where they exist. They're down there helping raise funds to defray the costs of this whole event, because, as you know, America's Hometown is a nonprofit.
That's right. And not only that, but the costs, because of the size. Everybody says, man, this is getting so big. And it is, but guess what goes up?
Exactly.
Cost as well.
It's, the Rotary does a phenomenal job in this community.
Do.
So many people have no idea of the things that they actually do behind the scenes. This is just one small example that you might see on the road, but they're giving back to the community in so many different ways. They literally raise funds to help out organizations, they help out charities, and they're just a great organization here in the town of Plymouth.
They also offer some wonderful opportunities to students, and I see the parade. It looks as if the parade is arriving right here. We're starting off with some of our banners, really letting us know who is here to support this parade. Of course, America's Hometown Thanksgiving Celebration, a nonprofit commissioned, and this parade actually was originally commissioned by the Plymouth Rock Foundation. Olly D. Macedo has been the director since, I believe, 2001.
That's right.
And it's amazing how it's grown each and every year. And they are being followed by the Plymouth County Sheriff's Department under the command of Sheriff Joseph D. McDonald Jr. And actually this, I'm sorry, is this the... With the Sheriff's Department, they are one of the few remaining existing equestrian patrols still in existence in the eastern United States. And I believe they're also being followed by the Plymouth Mounted Police Unit. As you're seeing some of our other main sponsors come through at the beginning of the parade.
The Plymouth Industrial Development Corporation has been not only a phenomenal sponsor, but really a backbone financially for this this whole celebration. Of course, they underwrite Friday night as another way for the memorial concert for the veterans. They're just phenomenal.
The Plymouth Industrial Development Corp, they actually were there, and they started the industrial park here in Plymouth back in '67 after the loss of Cottage Park, and just have been. They have donated so millions and millions of dollars to the town of Plymouth in charities in one way or another, hospital,
right?
And of course, as you said, huge.
And with the Plymouth Rock Foundation in 2001, John Talcott just died this year.
Yes.
On Memorial Day. 105 years of age, founding in 1970. But I think we have the Riley Raiders coming right now.
Yes, we
from
do.
Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. And we're going to listen as this alumni drum and bugle corps arrive here at the grandstand.
Constructed by the Plymouth Plantation on site in their replica village. Here they depict their way of life for years prior to the arrival of the Europeans. These houses were dome-shaped and covered with bark or cattail reeds. The houses were suited for the climate here in the Northeast. A mural on the front of the float depicts the wilderness with a waterfall and authentic trees. Be sure to visit the pavilion on the waterfront to learn more about the Wampanoag Nation in the early 1600s and give you facts about the first Thanksgiving. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please greet our official parade marshals.
Randy, you gotta hold 1 second. Kayla? I want to just recognize for this first time ever in this event, we have actual Wampanoag Native people here joining us, representing the Native people. And I want to make sure that we honor them this morning, because I know one thing about history. If it were not for the kindness and the generosity of the Wampanoag Nation, the Pilgrims never would have survived the first winter. So we honor you today, the Wampanoag Nation. Thank you so much.
How about a warm America's Hometown welcome for our parade marshals? Randy, Cindy, and Bianca. They did? Jason, sorry, Jason.
Well, Bianca sends her regards. She's a little under the weather today, and I was texting her this morning. She's envious that this turned out to be so awesome today. The weather is, of course, and of course we have our best weather people here on this job, so it turned out perfectly. But anyway, warmer than the weather, the people. We have had the most fantastic time coming through this crowd. So it's great to be here. Our colleague J.C. Monahan, who has moved on from the Eye Opener, but a big part of our team at News Center 5 and Chronicle. J.C., thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for letting me join. I'm not part of the Eye Opener anymore, but I heard there was an empty seat on the carriage and I couldn't pass it up. So thank you for letting me be a part of all of this, and my daughter Catherine, who came along for the ride. Thank you. And of course, I pass the baton to the best that there is, and that is Cindy Fitzgibbons. Please welcome her, newest member of the Eye Opener. Thank you, JC, so much. This is my very first Plymouth parade, and I am overwhelmed. You know how to do it here in Plymouth, so thank you very much for the hospitality that Randy was referring to. Let me show you Exhibit A. A pair of mittens that a perfect stranger gave to me, so thank you very much. And we need to model for you our new eyewear. All right! Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much.
Now we have, before we go, I want to do one quick thing, because we have a tradition on the Eye Opener, and it's called the Wake Up Call. We've had, all this week, we've had